you will be able to control all the rest of the 3 layers, the mental layer, energy layer, and the physical layer. So when they are in respective orbits, you will become more objective in life. From the point of intellect, you see them as an object. You see your mind as an object apart from the intellect. You see the physiological energy layers, the organs of action apart from you as an object. You see your physical body apart from you as an object, and the life experiences apart from you as an object. You don't get involved in it. In other words, when you are objective, the intellect will have control over all life's activities throughout the day. That is being objective. The intellectual layer is your intellectual personality, and it constitutes 9 components. Remember, we studied 2 intellects, the gross intellect that is used in the terrestrial world and the subtle intellect that is used to explore the infinity. These 2 intellects, along with memory and ego, plus the 5 organs of perception, or the 5 power centers of perception, together constitutes the intellectual layer. Now, this intellectual layer is responsible for power for knowing, or knowledge power. Intellectual layer is responsible for the knowledge power. Without having a knowledge of an object, one cannot desire an object, isn't it? So the intellectual layer knows, the mental layer desires, and the energy layer acts to fulfill those desires. Now, let's see the role of the 5 power centers of perception, which are constituents of the intellectual layer. The 5 power centers of perception, their role is taking stimuli from the external world and pass it on to the intellect. The intellect, in consultation with the mind or without consulting the mind, the intellect can take a unilateral decision whether to admit that stimuli and take a form of a desire. This combination, along with the support of the memory and ego, the intellect supposed to take the decision whether the received stimuli, after being processed in the intellect, whether to take a form of a desire or dismiss it. So that's the role of the intellectual layer. Likewise, what all we will have gained so much knowledge in the world, but intellectual layer will make a decision, as I said, whether to go for it or not. Again, it depends upon the capacity of the individual and the usage. Like somebody can have a strong intellect, but he may not have hair. So he will have knowledge of shampoo, but he is bald. So that need not be converted into a desire. Similarly, you see a lot of celebrity, you are fan of celebrity. You can't get married to a celebrity. And at the age of 50, 60, you cannot aspire to be a big cricket player. So these are some of the things. Again, in terms of capacity, you have knowledge of a supercar, Ferrari, but your financial capacity is not so good to afford that kind of Ferrari. So you might have knowledge of many things, but it is not necessary that all that you know of can become a desire. But to desire an object, you need to have knowledge of the particular object. With this, the analysis of intellectual layer is over. When we talk about the intellect, mind, memory, ego, as I said earlier, the building blocks for all these are thoughts. In other words, they are all one kind of, the subtle body is a homogeneous single entity of thoughts. Depending on the situation, it takes the role of intellect, the thoughts take the role of the mind, thought takes the role of memory, and thought take the role of ego. So with these 4 layers of analysis is over. Now we will move on to the fifth layer, that is BLISS layer. The final layer, BLISS layer, is nothing but your unconscious personality. At this state of, this is otherwise the deep sleep state of your personality. In this state, all the rest of the 4 layers are unmanifest, right? Because in deep sleep, rest of the 4 states doesn't operate. This BLISS layer holds the power for suppressing the 3 other powers. What are the 3 other powers? The knowledge power, the desiring power, the acting power. This BLISS layer has another power, inertia power. You can call power for suppressing these 3 powers, you can call this inertia power, power for inertia. This suppresses the other 3 powers. Now in this state, the personality is in total ignorant condition. That we have already discussed earlier, because there is no subject-object relationship. So when there is no subject-object relationship in deep sleep, there is no possibility to gain knowledge. So it's in a temporary, total ignorant state. So in this state, the knowing power, the desiring power and the acting power are kind of obstructed, suppressed or overpowered by the inertia power that the bliss sheath holds. By suppressing all these 3 powers, the personality at deep sleep, the whole 4 layers goes kind of relaxation, resting. The whole body gets rejuvenated, the mind gets rejuvenated, the intellect is given rest. So the entire personality gets revitalized. So the power of inertia is actually a blessing in a personality, so that after the deep sleep, the entire personality is available to do all the other 3 functions. What are the functions? Knowing, desiring, acting, knowing, desiring, acting, whole day. And then the inertia power takes over, and these 3 powers are suppressed or given rest. So with this, the analysis of bliss sheath is over. Another point to note is, and in the state of deep sleep, when the 4 layers are knocked off, the mind is rested, intellect is rested, body is rested, physiological functions only operate in a minuscule scale. At this stage, what happens? All your worry is gone, anxiety is gone, problems caused by the mind is gone, problems caused by your activities in the external world is gone. So during the time of sleep, you are in a very, very happy state, or that's another reason that it is called as bliss sheath. Not only when you sleep you are happy, sometimes the people around you are happy when you are sleeping. This typically applies when a very, very naughty child, mischievous child, when that child goes to sleep, who is happy? Of course the child is happy. Along with the child, the mother who is awake, she is also very happy. So this is just a small deviation. That apart, I forgot to say one point. When you sleep, I said the 3 powers are knocked off. The active power is knocked off, the desiring power is knocked off, the knowing power is knocked off. However, there is a fine streak of knowing power pervades throughout the deep sleep. In other words, one thin fiber of rudimentary intellect in form of a fine thought that should be pervading throughout the state of deep sleep. The reason is, after the sleep, how you are able to declare that you had a deep sleep. If you had slept for, say, 6 hours of deep sleep, when you wake up, you declare, I had 6 hours of sleep. For you to declare, something must be registering the entire deep sleep experience. That doesn't mean the knowing power is subtler than the inertia power. No. The knowing power could only send one small streak of thought into the zone of inertia power. That doesn't mean that has control of the entire inertia power. So this point I forgot to mention earlier. This bliss layer, I mentioned it is also your unconscious personality. So there is one more aspect to the unconscious personality. In the sense, for example, if there is a power surge, so what happens to the equipments, the electric equipments? They are having the aspect of fuse or circuit breaker. So to protect the equipment, the fuse or the circuit breaker comes in and helps. Likewise, if a person is met with a serious accident, like if his legs are chopped in an accident or hands are chopped, the temporary fuse in the physical body comes into picture. I believe they wouldn't feel any pain. So that kind of fuse act. Likewise, when a person is faced with serious emotional trauma, wherein the mind and intellect and ego can't be able to digest or accept that big emotional trauma in life, particularly at younger age, that particular experience, the mind and intellect wouldn't react to it. So that experience is dumped deep into the memory or dumped into the unconscious. That very rare, it takes the form of suppression in the personality. So at very rare stage, that suppression kind of explodes. For example, if a person, you would see him disproportionately acting for a minor incident or a minor mistake, his reaction to the mistake could go disproportionately. Or for no reason, you would see some emotional personality sit down and start crying without a cause. So these are expression of the unconscious personality. Unconscious personality in the sense, those experiences stored deep in the memory. But it kind of goes into the unconscious state, where sometimes it expresses at a different time and place. So this is a minor aspect to the unconscious personality. With this, the analysis of the 5 personality layers are over. Next, we will have to go to the analysis of the final 3. Based on the experiences a human being have, he goes through a waking state of experience, dream state of experience, and deep sleep state of experience. We are going to analyze that in depth. After the analysis of the 3 states of experiences, we will be moving on to the important, most anticipated topic of infinity consciousness and its relationship. But you might wonder why last, I think, 2 hours of discussion, 2 hours of classes predominantly based on the 11 aspects of human composition. Why do you want to analyze so much in depth and each and every minute thing, the power centers, the 15 power centers, mind, intellect, ego, memory, gross intellect, subtle intellect, and its functions, nature, whatnot, material, etc. The reason that we have to know these 11 aspects is, first, you will come to a conclusion, these 11 entities are finite, they are not infinite, number 1. And a common man doesn't pursue infinity, and with this study, you develop a clarity and you will know where not to look for infinity or where the wrong path, you don't choose a different path in your goal of capturing infinity. So for that, this becomes a kind of pointers. Again, it is a path, and everybody, path in the sense, the 4th goal, the goal of capturing infinity. When I say goal of capturing infinity, it implies it's a goal, it's a little bit far from where you have to reach. From where you are to where you have to reach. So for you to reach, you need to understand where you stand. You will have to assess your personality. So these 5 layers will come in handy. What kind of predominant personality are you? I am sure if you have come to this far, you will have to be predominantly intellectual personality. That predominance of intellect, again I said, there will be a gradation. When I say predominant personality, there will be other aspects of the personality. There will be an emotional personality and the physical personality and the active personality. Are they going to sit quiet even though if you are a predominant intellectual personality? At any point, those aspects in your personality want to supersede the intellect, want to go somewhere. When you analyze in this different ways, you will know where to keep them where exactly they are. And then you take better control over them. And by doing this, you will have a self-assessment and you will have clarity in your path. For that reason, we need to analyze. There are so many other reasons. I will enumerate few. So I said, one is the path to capture infinity. Another is, we said, the mind keeps on generating desire. And there is a gap between what you know and the number of desires that keeps on going. And you can't keep on acting to fulfill those desires. So there is a gap between the disparity of total number of desires that you entertain and the total number of desires you can act and fulfill. You will reduce that disparity, you will reduce that gap. By how? By this kind of analysis, you will get more clarity. So it's against a constant war against your mind, against the negative forces that try to pull you down from your growth. Now, when you have this kind of analysis, it's like you place the food layer, the energy layer, the mental layer, and intellectual layer is the boss. You will put them in its specific orbitals around you. And you will be the boss, you will be the commander. You will dictate each one to stay in its own respective layers and don't cross boundaries. It is another advantage of this kind of 5-layer analysis. With that, your intellect becomes stronger. What happens when the intellect becomes stronger? You will be able to control all the rest of the 3 layers. The mental layer, energy layer, and the physical layer. So when they are in respective orbits, you will become more objective in life. From the point of intellect, you see them as an object. You see your mind as an object apart from the intellect. You see the physiological energy layers, the organs of action apart from you as an object. You see your physical body apart from you as an object, and the life experiences apart from you as an object. You don't get involved in it. In other words, when you are objective, the intellect will have control over all life's activities throughout the day. That is being objective. So when you become objective, your path towards capturing infinity will be faster and multifold. Then you need the other things I have already mentioned: less worries, less anxiety. Now you won't have stress, you can manage stress, you can manage relationship, you can manage time, etc. Then the ultimate objective is capturing infinity that we saw. But we saw how that nature is going to be, that ultimate state. We were talking in terms of quantum of happiness. If you pitch a very, very divine goal, or very, in a sense, the highest goal a human can aspire for, and that goal incidentally turns out to be infinite happiness, don't you think the path to that infinite happiness should also be happy? Why would one want to suffer too much and then get to a point of infinite happiness? If that ultimate goal is happiness or infinity, the path towards infinity should also be happy. For that to be happy, you need to have this clear analysis of the different 11 components of the human composition and knowledge of the world. So you know how to relate to your own personality, and when you know how to relate to your own personality, that personality will automatically react in the right way to the external world. So that is the reason, even though I repeat few things here and there, it will really help you in achieving the goal. So with this, we have completed only the 8 aspects or the 8 components of the human composition. 3 are still left. So let's move on to the 3 states of experiences.